Hey guys, 19th of December here in central Illinois. We're really getting close to that magical day, but I'm going to show you some stuff across the pond. I was standing up here reminiscing, thinking back, and oftentimes wondering how I got into all this stuff. And remember as a kid, and I mean a little kid, in 56 or 57, when my dad and I went into a place called New Holland, Illinois, and the Illinois Central Railway ran through there. And the only siding that we had was for the grain elevator. And they were switching boxcars. In those days, they used boxcars filled with grain instead of hoppers. That came later. But everything was steam at that time. And my father convinced the engineer to let us ride on the footplate of that steam locomotive, and we got to ride on it for about 15 minutes. Now, that is something that a 6 or 7 year old is never going to forget, and I've never forgot it. And I think while I always loved trains anyhow as a kid, and I had a Lionel train, that just cemented the whole situation. And it's funny how things affect you when you're younger. It's funny how things that you read will affect you. And like all kids at the time, I graduated high school in '68. I'd probably read about every kid's book that you could read: Tarzan, Conan the Barbarian, King Arthur, Robin Hood. Loved Robin Hood. So I read all that stuff, and I had my interest in history and wanting to own things just kept getting wider and wider and wider, and I really cast a very wide net. One of the things that I always enjoyed collecting was pewter. English, German, American pewter. Early American pewter is very hard to find. And beer steins. The beer stein, the whole idea of drinking out of a beer stein and a pewter come from King Arthur. And when I was a kid, I thought all pewter was ancient. I thought it all came from the Middle Ages. And I had picked up, these are two German pewters. One is to dispense the alcohol with, the other one's to drink it with. Now this one here is, you would get this full at the pub, and you'd have your own pewter cup or a ceramic cup, and you drink it. This dates 1787. Not exactly Middle Ages, but it was only 4 years younger than what the United States was by that time we got our freedom. And the other stuff that I always wanted, I wanted to collect pre-war European. Well, pre-war European was, at the time, was hard for me to get a hold of, and it wasn't cheap. So I collected a little bit of pre-war, but basically I got post-war European. I've got basically post-war Hornby. I've got a few other types of brands of cars. I got a Jep, J-E-P, I think that's how you pronounce it. I know that they no longer make trains, but they do make automotive parts. And I got some of that stuff, and I always enjoyed it. One of the things, when the wife and I in 1983, we went to England for a month, and we went to Portobello Road. Well, I picked that up at Portobello Road, and that signal, I picked that up at Portobello Road. We then, or I did, she wasn't interested in it, I took a cab and went to a place called Steam Age, and it was like being dropped into a museum which everything was for sale. And I bought a few things there. I bought a Prince Charles, about 1951, 52. It's for Bassett Loke, DC 3 rail. So that's kind of the stuff that I got. And one of the things I liked about, I believe this is an early Hornby, because it's nut and bolt. And I like to look at how manufacturers made stuff back in the day. And I employ this every once in a while, the nuts and bolts. In fact, this is what gave me, well, it's not on there. I guess I got it down on the track. I've got a cattle car that I literally, it all bolts together. But I got the whole idea from this. So this is essentially all I have in pre-war. Got the Hornby crane. We got these two cars, and that's basically it. But I've got a whole bunch of French Hornby on the other side. So I think what we'll do here is, and I'm double heading it. And the reason I'm double heading it is so you can see basically all that I've got. I got a few more cars. I just didn't bother to put them on. But we'll go ahead and we'll run this French Hornby around. And I want to tell you what, this stuff takes a tremendous amount of power to get it going. I used to have just a plain 90-watt transformer. All it would do on this Hornby post-war was turn on the headlight. It would not run. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Those run nice. They do a good job, but like I say, they take a tremendous amount of power. Now I'll show you the Jep, and pardon my French. Now I've got to find a different transformer. This is really a nice set. Smooth as silk. Virtually takes no power for this thing. But a really, really nice little outfit. And all this is post-war. They made the crane car pre-war too. That didn't change one bit. Same way with the wine cars. Same body, just a different set of couplers on it was all. But that's what we've got. This is how stuff like this metastasizes from one thing to something else to something else to something else. King Arthur made me want to have a beer stein. And that's a Metlock beer stein. That's German. At the time, and maybe even now, considered the premier beer stein to buy. That one dates 1909. I have a regimental beer stein by them, but it all has to do with, I think they called the Pioneers. It has to do with the railway. There was some government involvement with the railway, and it lists all in German. I used to have the translation, of which I've lost now, but it is a railway beer stein. So that's kind of what we're up to, guys. Just looking back on our misspent youth and how one thing snowballs into another. So if I don't have anything else by Christmas, you have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you afterwards, or we'll see you next year. Toodaloo.